Well, here we are back again with another guest in the guest chair. Welcome in. Comcast Citywide TV presents a conversation with right here at the Comcast Citywide Studios on Quillen Road in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm your host, Tom Pace. I also host a radio program, The Talk of the Town, Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 o'clock every afternoon on The Promise, 90.7 FM. But today and on every month we'll have a couple of guests and we'll have them featured on a conversation with. And today, let me tell you, a young up and coming attorney. Ladies and gentlemen, I think 26, 27 years old. We'll find out in a minute. It just graduated and now he has passed the bar. He is an attorney, and yet he has a track record of running for public office. It's my honor and privilege to welcome in Patrick J. Harrington to Comcast Citywide TV. Pat?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm just thrilled. I mean, you know, and here, I'm much older than you. You know, I've got you doubled up easily and almost half of that at 70. You are how old now?
27.
27 years old?
Yes, sir.
And you went to where in high school?
I went to Benton High School in Benton, Louisiana.
Oh, the Benton High Tigers.
Yes, sir.
What a legacy they have. Do you have anybody else in the family who went?
Well, I have 4 younger brothers, so we all went through there. And I was also student government president of my high school when I was there.
Wait, you were the student government president?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever thought about getting into politics?
I have, and you know, it kind of just was a natural progression. I've always run for different things in high school, college, and so I just kind of stopped denying that part of me and saying, you know, this is what I really am passionate about, is serving others and working towards something bigger than myself.
Wait a minute. Is that an oxymoron, an attorney working for others?
Hey, look, we're advocating for our clients, so look, it's a natural progression, I think.
Okay, all right. There's enough attorney jokes to go around. We won't go there. And Patrick, tell us about your family and your mom, your dad.
Okay, well, my mom is a nurse.
Her name?
Corey Harrington. And my dad was Pat Harrington. He was an attorney back in the day when I was a lot younger. He's since passed. It's been
and I knew him.
Yes.
He was a great man.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
He truly was. And just let me congratulate you on having a good lineage.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I mean that with every fiber in my body. He was a great man. Do you feel like you're kind of carrying on his legacy?
I do, in a sense. Some for the obvious reasons. I carry the same name, Patrick Harrington, different middle name. My grandfather was also a Patrick Harrington. And I'm sure I've inherited certain traits and interests, such as both of them, because I'm very studious and very serious about my studies when I was in school. But also I'm naturally just drawn to these leadership positions, whether it was high school, college, or even law school.
Did you ever go to like Boys State or any of this stuff? Or
well, that's interesting you ask. At the time I was offered in high school, but I did not do it because at that time I was just very reserved and kind of shy, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Now there's an oxymoron, an attorney that's shy.
Right. It's not. I'm not shy now. It's just that I'm a little reserved, but I'm also very personable, and I get along with just about anybody.
Well, now, see, that's what it takes. And tell me about, okay, so you went to Benton High.
Yes.
And you went where for college?
I went to LSU Shreveport, actually.
Okay, and then where did you get your Juris Doctorate?
I went to Southern University Law Center.
Is that here or where?
That is in Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge.
Yes, right down the street from LSU Law, actually.
Okay, so you get your JD and but you haven't passed the bar yet, right?
Right.
How does that work? You get your JD and then what?
And then that summer, the majority of people will take the bar exam. So you spend the whole summer prepping for that exam, and then you take it. It's about a week long, and it is intense, to say the least.
And you have to learn case law for cases and cases upon cases.
Well, it's actually 9 different exams spread out over a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 hours each day. It's no joke, that's for sure. And it's the great equalizer too, because there's 4 law schools in the state, and so everyone has to take the exam to be a practicing attorney. So yeah, I passed it on the first try.
Wait a minute, you passed it on the first try?
Yes, sir. Southern prepared me, and I take that very seriously as well.
Were there any mentors or people that you knew that maybe taught classes that are of a political nature and or serving as public servants that you had that people might know?
Well, Southern's known for having a lot of judges coming out of Southern, but there were definitely some professors that I connected with early on that kind of guided me, and I could always go to for advice, and there was quite a few of them actually.
So I'm very proud of you. You passed the bar the first time. Now, does this mean you're a practicing attorney or just a lawyer? A lawyer cannot argue a case.
Right.
But an attorney can.
Well, I'm Pat Harrington, attorney at law. So, I actually am doing conflict work with the Public Defender's Office in Bossier. It's, just a little bit of work now to kind of get my feet wet and to kind of figure out where I want to go with this career.
Come back over here, Al. Let me just talk to you people just a minute. If you want to talk about the best and the brightest and where is our future in the state of Louisiana, here's a perfect example of Patrick J. Harrington, attorney at law. I mean, he had a dream. I don't know if it was an epiphany. I don't know what it was. But whatever it was, he was bitten by the bug. And it's just like any career. I've been in radio some 50-odd years. I've always been passionate about it. It's always said, if you can go to work and really enjoy it every day, you're never working. You're just living life and you're living the dream. And this young man over here to my left, you're right as you're looking on the screen, is a living, breathing example of what you can achieve if you dream it and you put your mind to it. And I'm just saying that to you because I think there's a lot of people out there that think, oh my gosh, I couldn't be a lawyer. How many years did it take you?
It's 3 years. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, that's on top of graduating from college?
Well, yeah, that's very true. You got to go to undergrad and get a degree.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yes, sir.
So how many years total?
Well, it's 4 years undergrad and then 3 years.
So 7 years.
Yes, yes.
And so now you are a practicing attorney. If somebody came to you and said, well, and what type of people do you represent?
Well, right now I'm doing criminal defense with the Public Defender's Office. So
that's in Bossier?
It is in Bossier. So I'm doing that right now. It's just a little bit of work right now, and just trying to figure out where I want to go with my career.
What about, you stop and think about it, there had to be a milestone somewhere in betwixt that time when you said, oh gee, I'm kind of shy, to the point where all of a sudden you kind of broke out of your shell. Where was that point?
I don't know if there was a moment. I just think it was over time and trial and error, because again, ever since high school or even middle school, I always ran for the little class offices, and I've lost more elections than I've won.
But what did you win some of the class offices?
Well, in high school I was class president a couple of years, and then I ultimately became the student body president of my school, and I was valedictorian as well.
SGA, I guess?
Yeah, student government.
Yeah. And a valedictorian.
Yes, sir.
Oh, well.
Yes, sir.
Did you graduate cum laude, magna cum laude?
Summa cum laude, actually.
Oh my gosh, that is the highest. Summa meaning the best, the biggest, the brightest. And did you get to give the address at graduation?
At graduation, yes. I don't really remember exactly what I said, but I got to speak. And then in college, I was actually graduated summa cum laude. But I was also student government president there.
Well, is there anything you haven't done?
Well, there's a lot I want to do.
Maybe, what would you like to do?
Just to keep going and keep serving and just put myself out there, because I've realized I really am passionate about people, and I'm passionate about serving other people and working on their behalf.
You know, and I've said on many occasions, and while it may sound funny, there's more truth than poetry. There are politicians, and if you break down the root word of politics, it's poly means many and ticks means bloodsuckers. So, I mean, you do the math. Okay, but then there are what I call public servants.
Right.
And I believe that representatives and senators and congressmen and U.S. senators, and if you come right down all the way to it, State House and everybody, they should be public servants.
I agree. I think we've gotten away from that, and that's why I've constantly put myself out there. And I did it when I was at Southern. It's a historically black college.
I was going to say,
yeah.
Wait a minute. You know, it's like a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's courtyard.
Yes, sir.
You stood out, but I guess, and let me put it this way, I guess you were colorblind.
Well, it's not that I'm colorblind. I would say that I just appreciate everyone for who they are as an individual, and I treat people with respect, and I really seek an understanding, and I think that's what happened throughout my time at Southern, because I actually was I was the class president my first year, and it was just something I said, I'm going to try this. Let's see how I do. And I won it, and from that point on, I got very much involved. People got to know me as a person, and I challenged the status quo in a respectful way. And ultimately, I was effective in doing that. It was a wonderful time there. It really was.
You hit upon a word, and I think most people, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, these, as once was written, these are times that try men's souls. And not just the generic, not the gender men, but men meaning everyone's souls. We're living in a whole new paradigm generation. How do you see this?
I see it as an opportunity, actually, that we can go forward together and challenge the status quo respectfully, but we can ultimately be successful. And because, I don't mean to get political, but I recently ran, and my whole, I guess, focus was the focus on liberty. And that's something that we all, as people, as individuals, can identify with. And
let me hold you. Hold
Yes.
that thought. You know what this is?
Time out.
That's right. See, he's a good athletic person too, and we're going to find out more about him, what sports he played, if he played any, or if he played maybe the table football, where you do this. We'll find that out in a minute, and we're going to find about his run for the Roses. Well, he wasn't exactly on the Kentucky Derby, but you would think what he ran for was really awesome. And he picked up the mantle and ran with it. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today on Conversation with Patrick J. Harrington, attorney at law. I'm Tom Pace, the host of the Talk of the Town on the Promise 90.7 FM every day, Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 o'clock. 2-minute timeout. When we return, young Mr. Harrington will share with us his run for the Roses in Bossier. Be right back. Wait a minute. I was just talking with Patrick J. Harrington, attorney at law. I was asking him advice. We've got some dogs that feel like that they're being mistreated and they're just running loose. And he was trying to give me some legal advice, and he just said, "Don't bother with the dogs. They're wonderful, kind animals, and be kind to them." And I said that. And welcome back. It's the Talk of the Town. I host every day on the Promise 90.7 FM, but today here in the Comcast Citywide TV studio is a conversation with young Patrick J. Harrington, attorney at law. And when we last talked to him, if you remember correctly, he was telling us about this run for the Roses, and pardon my metaphor on that, he ran for political office. I mean for the big political. I don't mean running for SGA president or class president or anything. I mean this was a big race, and it involved a House seat that was occupied now by a sitting newcomer to the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman Mike Johnson. And Patrick, how in the world, whatever possessed you to run for this District 8 seat in Bossier City?
Well, I saw it as an opportunity to serve, and it would happen a little quickly. It's not, I've always said I would run at some point, and I just passed the bar, and I said, you know what, I have a law degree. I've served in a representative capacity multiple times, and I did it that past year on the Board of Regents, representing over 200,000 students.
Wait a minute, the Board of Regents?
Yes, sir.
For the state of Louisiana?
Yes, sir.
Tell people what the Board of Regents does.
The Board of Regents basically oversees all of higher education throughout the state, and they have one student member on there that it's elected every year.
Were you the student member?
Yes, and I had to win 2 elections to be on the Board of Regents. It wasn't appointed.
Oh, this was really major, was it not?
It was a big deal. It was during the budget crisis, the many that we have.
What was the one thing that you, say, campaigned on, or do you feel like you made a difference?
I feel that I was a voice at the time, but at the same time, I didn't think I was being as effective as I wanted to be. And that's what drew me to this opportunity to run for state representative. As I said, this is an opportunity to run for a spot where I can have a real influence.
And that being said, I mean, this was, if I remember, memory serves me correctly, it was a quick decision on qualifying day.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, bang, you're in a four-person race for the House seat, District 8 from Bossier City, and we're talking about the entire parish, and yet you still made a showing.
Right. I went in with realistic expectations, but at the same time I saw it as an opportunity that, you know, anything can happen in politics, and I didn't want the opportunity to just pass me by. And I put myself out there, and I ran a respectful, clean, and positive campaign, and it, you know, ultimately I did not win, but at the same time I felt like it was a win-win situation for me.
Well, and I was going to say, forget about whether you won or lost.
Right.
It's how you play the game.
Exactly, and it's how you treat people ultimately.
And ladies and gentlemen, he's been using two phrases now. One is, I put myself out there, and two is the word, and this is the most powerful word outside of one other that I know exists in the world of politics. The most important word is trust. And you'll hear a lot of candidates trying to bandy that word about. But if you have not earned the trust, it's just another word. If you live and breathe it, that's one thing. And the second word is what young Pat, Mr. Harrington said, respect. And I think that's something that's lacking in our country.
I agree. It's the lack of civility. It's this division that's occurred over time. And again, going back to why I ran, I also was the first white president of a historically black college when I was president of Southern during my time there. And, you know, I dealt with a little bit of racial issues at the time, naturally so. But ultimately I was successful. And I thought, you know, if I can deal with racial issues in a respectful and kind way and still be successful, then I can deal with a little bit of political polarization that we see in Baton Rouge today.
If you had a magic wand and you could wave it, and you had the power, what would you do for the state of Louisiana?
I would drastically reduce the size of government and roll back lots of the regulations that are hindering the free market and hindering our individual lives as people.
And that's great rhetoric.
Right, right.
And I don't want...
No, please, yeah.
Okay, I don't want eyewash.
Right.
I want real substantive things that you could say if you were JBE, John Bell Edwards. And you know, we're not going to get into that. That's politics. That's for another date, another time, another place. But if you had this magical power, what would be two of the things that you would first enact?
Term limits probably is for every office, not just for the state reps and state senators. And also maybe have it to where we have it like Texas, where we meet in legislature every 2 years as opposed to every year, because I feel like the meddling that we get every time they meet, maybe we can avoid some of that by meeting every 2 years. You know, that's just throwing it out there.
No. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to ask him, what does it mean of putting myself out there?
Well, for me, it's about not being afraid and, you know, to having the courage and not fearing failure, because I entered this race with the most likelihood that I'm going to lose.
You didn't go in with blinders on.
No, sir. I knew exactly what I was getting into, and I've run in a lot of races. I've lost more than I've won, and it's how you lose that really can define who you are, and you can really see someone's character, and that's what I really wanted, is to introduce myself and say, you know, I know how to lose respectfully, and I also know how to win. Over time, you know, I'm patient. I know I have something to offer, but it's beyond me. It's really my trust and faith in God that really led me to have that courage and give me this fearlessness. Because, you know, as a Christian, I mean, we don't even fear death. So I did enter not willy-nilly. It was a very thoughtful decision that led me to ultimately qualifying on the last day.
And that's what I was getting at, ladies and gentlemen, when I say he ultimately waited until the 11th hour or 11:30 of that hour, whatever time, magic time. I think it was 5:30 or
It was
something.
right there.
It was
yes.
right there. You walked up. Do you think the other candidates expected it?
Oh no, I've heard even in hindsight that a lot of people were trying to figure out, who is this guy? Is he a threat? What is, what's going to happen? I was the X factor, and I did have a change on the political dialogue as this young guy, and saying that my whole phrase I kind of adopted was the future protecting the future. Is that we don't need these other guys who maybe don't care about the long-term effects, as opposed to someone like me who will absolutely care whenever I have a family and go further in my life.
Well, let me put it this way, humbly, your dad left a legacy.
Yes, sir.
You picked up the mantle, and now you're running with it.
Yes, sir.
What would be your next step?
My next step is to stay involved and to be passionate and to build from this, because I want it to make me better and to be better prepared and to offer something even greater than maybe I thought I could in this particular race. And I don't know if I'll run again, but I really want to just connect and plug in with my community, with my state, and again, it's something I truly care about. I care about the people. I care about, I'm the oldest of 5 sons.
Now,
and
how old are the others?
My mom and dad had 5 boys in 5 years, so
oh, well,
God bless my mother, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, tell us her name again.
Corey.
We're going to nominate her for sainthood.
Look,
okay?
it's C-O-R-I also, because she always...
Corey Harrington, you are a godsend. You are the woman who birthed this young man, fine man, and let me give you a shout out from Tom here at Comcast Citywide TV. Now, that being said, were your brothers athletic? Were you athletic?
Well, my athletic ability was really in running, not in elections, but I could go cross country.
Okay.
So I did that in high school. I still run to this day. My other brothers, they did a lot of football, track and field. They were very much involved in high school and in college, and they're doing extremely well.
Now, how old are they, though?
So I'm 27. My other one would be 26, 25, 24, and we'll just go down the line.
All right. You see, whenever we played varsity sports, I generally was the football. So, I mean, I would get passed around everybody. And one other thing, and this is, though it's just one of those Tom's isms, if we can't laugh at ourselves, who can we laugh at? Because we become so politically correct anymore. I am afraid, I am literally sometimes have to check my mouth before I engage my brain, or engage my brain before I open my mouth, because everybody has an agenda.
Right. No, and if you look back at the election night when I got demolished, really, in the results, when they came to us in the live stream feed, we were so excited. I mean, we were very positive, and we appreciate everything that's happened.
You're talking about our campaign, your campaign.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Just because there was another person who lost as well, and it's just, like you said, appreciating the times that we have and doing your very best, and just not taking it too seriously whenever it's not, yeah, I lost, but it's not the end of the world.
Well, as they say, this isn't rocket science.
Exactly, and hey, that's what the politicians do in my theory is, we're told how it's so complicated and, trust us, we know what's better. But to me, it's like, if you can't get it simplified, then maybe there's a problem in and there of itself.
Ladies and gentlemen, I see our director and producer, Al Moore, he just gave me 1 minute. You know what that means? That means that it's time for him to go back to the books, study some more case law as he now takes some of those cases for the defenders, the public defender's office over there in Bossier, and that's over there across from the Benton courthouse.
Yes, sir. I live right in there.
Yeah, all right. And he's going to study those, help those that need assistance in their criminal defense. His name is Patrick J. Harrington. By the way, what does the J stand for?
Jordan.
Patrick Jordan Harrington, and don't you forget it. Ladies and gentlemen, number 5 on your ballot, number 1 in your heart. Patrick J. Harrington, attorney at law. I'm Tom Pace. That's going to wrap it up for me. And right here on Comcast Citywide TV in Studio A, right here on Quillen Road, Shreveport, Louisiana. Don't go away, because you never know who's going to sit in the guest chair next. Till then, blue skies, green lights, God love you. I sure do. Have a great day. Thank you.
Gosh, I loved it. Thank you so much.